The digital battlefield of the Tower of God flickered with intense neon-hued light. A massive boss monster loomed over the arena, its health bar hovering at 50%. The professional gamer Suboi tapped his mechanical keyboard with rhythmic, lightning-fast precision. His fans watched the stream in silence, terrified that any noise might break his concentration. Suboi's character stood firm as the boss landed a heavy, earth-shaking blow. The gamer's own health bar dipped perilously, flashing a bright warning red at 10%. The boss sneered at the player, mocking the intruder for his futile attempt at victory. Suboi gripped his mouse, his eyes fixed on the screen with cold, unwavering focus. He declared that even the gods would fall if they dared to block his path. The hero activated a unique, glowing sword skill, weaving a complex web of light. A devastating strike connected, shattering the final boss into a shower of digital pixels. The 999th floor of the Tower of God had finally fallen to a human player. Thousands of spectators flooded the chat, showering the champion with virtual praise and adoration. Suboi leaned back in his chair, basking in the glory of being the world's #1. Suddenly, a sharp metallic pain ripped through the gamer's chest, causing him to gasp. Blood sprayed across his desk as his vision blurred into a dark, swirling void. His hands slipped from the keyboard, his body collapsing limply against the gaming chair. The fans watching the stream screamed in terror as their idol stopped moving entirely. Suboi's head slumped forward, his consciousness drifting into a cold, silent abyss. A mocking, ethereal voice echoed in his mind, asking if the intruder truly believed in his victory. The young man's spirit flickered, wondering if this was truly the end of his journey. A crowded conference hall hummed with the steady drone of a lecturer's voice. A woman stood before a massive holographic display of the blue abyss. She explained that the Tower of God had descended to Earth a decade ago. The world had shifted from the age of technology into the era of superpowers. Vicious monsters and strange, demonic races now roamed the lands alongside humanity. The lecturer gestured to the tower, noting the vast, untapped resources waiting on every floor. Humanity had successfully cleared 99 floors, fueling a rapid surge in global civilization. She asked the gathered students if they were prepared to enter the dangerous realm. A roar of excitement erupted from the crowd, students shouting their eagerness to begin. Suboi sat in the back of the auditorium, staring at his hands in complete confusion. He looked around the room, wondering how he had arrived in this strange, unfamiliar place. A student nearby boasted about obtaining an SSS-level crystal to become a powerful combat class. Suboi blinked, questioning if he had truly died, or if this was some bizarre afterlife. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as the students prepared to enter the tower. This was the Yang Nation, a territory with strict requirements for all aspiring tower climbers. Every participant needed to be 18 and undergo 10 years of grueling school training. Suboi realized with a shock that this was the game he had played in his past life. He recognized the familiar mechanics of class transfers and the structure of the combat system. He wondered if he had been transported to a parallel world where the game was reality. If he had cleared the 999th floor before, he could surely dominate this version of the world. The master stood at the front of the hall, demanding absolute silence from the trainees. He instructed the disciples to step forward and receive their unique teleportation crystals. The students lined up, clutching their items with shaking, nervous hands. The teacher wished them luck, warning them that the tower showed no mercy to the weak. Suboi stepped forward, grabbing his crystal and feeling its cold, pulsating energy. He shattered the object, feeling his body dissolve into a stream of shimmering blue light. The system greeted the newcomer with a cold, synthesized chime. A loading screen appeared in the air, displaying the progress of his account registration. Suboi wondered if the server would recognize his previous credentials from the game. He imagined the power he would wield if his legendary account remained intact. The system flashed a bright error message, reporting a mismatch in the user data. A red progress bar appeared, indicating that all previous records were being permanently erased. Suboi gritted his teeth, watching his hard-earned history vanish into digital nothingness. The wipe was complete, and the system welcomed him as a brand new player. He opened his eyes to see the familiar architecture of the newcomer's city. This was the hub where fresh arrivals stocked up on gear before entering the tower. A notification chime interrupted his thoughts, signaling a reward for his past achievements. The greatest artifact, the clock of all things, materialized in his inventory. Subai examined the item, noting its ability to upgrade any gear for a small fee. He looked down at his basic, white-level starter sword and worn-out leather armor. The item description was vague, but he knew the potential value of such a tool. He wandered through the bustling streets, catching the sharp, yeasty scent of tavern beer. The tavern was packed with new players, all discussing their potential stat boosts. A landlady stood behind the bar, shouting about the advantages held by the young nation members. Subai realized that dying here would mean permanent death in the real world. He approached the counter, his mind racing with a plan to earn quick gold. He offered the tavern manager a series of rare, high-class cocktail recipes. The woman laughed, threatening to break his head if he was pulling a prank. Subai calmly scribbled the recipe for the beast blood wine on a piece of paper. He demanded 5 gold coins for the secret, promising it was entirely legitimate. The manager watched him with suspicion, then turned to mix the drink in a glass. Minutes later, the liquid shimmered like a deep red crystal under the tavern lights. The room went silent as the intoxicating aroma of the cocktail filled the air. The manager took a sip, her eyes widening as she felt the surge of energy. She demanded to know how many more of these secret recipes the young man possessed. Subai smiled, offering 5 more recipes for a total of 20 gold coins. The manager handed over the gold, her expression softening into a look of genuine interest. She tossed him a high-quality dagger as a bonus for the valuable information. Subai thanked her and walked out into the cool evening air of the city. He headed directly to the upgrade station, determined to boost his combat efficiency. He poured his coins into the clock of all things, watching his gear transform. The dagger glowed with a new, lethal aura as the upgrade process finished. With his stats secured, he felt ready to conquer the first floor of the tower. He marched toward the massive stone entrance of the Tower of God. The protection period lasted 7 days, and he intended to make every second count. He would reach the top, regardless of the challenges waiting in the dark. The outskirts of the tower served as a chaotic, dusty newbie zone. Dozens of players scrambled across the field to hunt wild rabbits. Tempers flared as each participant fought to land the first strike. Subai watched the scene with a mix of confusion and pity. The rabbits looked harmless and soft, making them difficult targets for some. He knew that these low-level mobs yielded almost no experience points. A fellow player shouted a warning for Subai to stay back. The stranger gestured toward the horizon, calling it a dangerous, unprotected zone. Subai turned his head, asking calmly what kind of danger existed here. A low hiss echoed behind him, signaling the arrival of a level 1 flying snake. The stranger screamed for Subai to retreat and take cover immediately. Subai stood his ground, claiming he held no fear for a tiny snake. He pulled his dagger from its sheath in one fluid motion. The blade flashed through the air, carving the serpent into small pieces. The surrounding players froze, staring at the snake remains in total disbelief. The stranger approached the protagonist, demanding to know how he achieved such speed. Subai shrugged, noting that the task took him only a single moment. The stranger warned him again, citing the risk of a lethal, venomous bite. He pointed to Subai's worn gear and low stats as a death sentence. Subai thanked the man for his concern with a polite nod. He tossed a single copper coin to his companion as a parting gift. The protagonist advised the man to worry about his own survival instead. The stranger watched him walk away, convinced the boy had lost his mind. Subai ignored the judgment, his eyes scanning the outskirts for more movement. He spotted another serpent coiling to strike from the tall grass. With a deft pivot, Subai drove his dagger through the monster's skull. The system pinged, rewarding the clean kill with a single copper coin. He noted that the mechanics mirrored the old Tower of God perfectly. Grinding for gold at this pace seemed exhausting and inefficient. He resolved to clear the first level before the rest of the pack. More flying snakes descended from the trees, drawn by the scent of battle. Subai smirked, deciding that more monsters simply meant more fun. The coin drop rate remained sluggish, forcing him to pick up the pace. A system notification announced the official start of the tower's 10th season. Subai knew he had to level up before his competitors claimed the rewards. He gripped the clock of all things, ready to dominate the leaderboard. Rumors spread among the players about who would secure the first monster kill. One player boasted that the 3 great families would dominate the eastern region. He pointed toward the eldest daughter of the Lin family who wore legendary gear. The set looked expensive, likely costing tens of thousands in real-world currency. Her squad of high-ranking bodyguards stood watch, shielding her from the commoners. A player in glasses sighed, telling the group to focus on hunting rabbits. Subai ignored the gossip, his blade cutting through another flying snake. The system chimed again, confirming that he had reached level 2. A black iron chest materialized in his inventory alongside 2 stat points. He checked the rankings, surprised to see so many others already at level 2. He had fallen behind because he spent time studying the clock before entering. Subai opened the chest, revealing basic armor and 30 copper coins. He pondered which piece of equipment would benefit most from an upgrade. The beginner zone boss lacked high-level attacks, so he chose his weapon. He poured his resources into the dagger, watching it glow with power. The item transformed into an elegant dagger, humming with newfound energy. He spent 9 silver coins to push the upgrade to its absolute limit. The weapon shifted into an excellent green quality tier with a speed bonus. He swung the blade, noting a 10% increase in his attack speed. The base stats hit 100 points, rivaling typical rare-tier weaponry. He marveled at the legendary power contained within his mysterious watch. He stepped toward the massive stone gate leading to the first floor. The boss of the zone only respawned 10 times during the first day. Only the fastest players would secure a spot inside the tower's depths. Subai heard the distant sounds of blades clashing against heavy armor. He sprinted toward the noise, hoping he was not too late. A group of elite players stood near a nest of armored goblins. Subai ducked behind a jagged rock to observe the well-funded squad. They wore remarkable great armor, a display of extreme wealth and privilege. He appraised the gear worn by Yuchan of the Ling family with envy. His own elegant dagger felt suddenly insufficient against such high-tier equipment. Yuchan barked orders, commanding her groups to regroup and push forward. The support team distributed potions to keep the frontline warriors at full health. A companion whispered to Yuchan that they were nearing the first floor. Yuchan remained cautious, warning the group not to underestimate rival families. She suddenly stopped, her eyes darting toward the rock where Subai hid. She demanded to know who was lurking in the shadows of the forest. Subai stepped into the open, offering a casual greeting to the squad. Yuchan's comrade demanded to know which team this lone level 2 player served. The protagonist replied that he worked alone and was merely passing through. Yuchan doubted his claim, knowing how hard it was to survive here solo. She ordered her third squad to stop using potions and prepare for combat. She refused to let a lone wolf steal her first boss kill. Subai realized he had become a target for 2 squads of warriors. He asked why they cared, given that they were fighting their own mobs. The deputy squad leader, a man named Lin, sneered at the level 2 novice. He ordered his men to eliminate the intruder before he could interfere. Arrows whistled through the air, aimed directly at Subai's chest. He braced himself, parrying the first projectile with his upgraded dagger. Yuchan gripped her crossbow, her eyes widening at the sudden display of skill. The warriors charged forward, swinging their blades in a synchronized arc. Subai lunged, his blade moving faster than the eye could follow. He delivered a precise slash, cutting through the lead warrior's defense. The soldier staggered back, blood spraying from a deep, jagged wound. The deputy commander shouted in shock, unable to process the level gap. He ordered the squads to retreat, realizing they were losing too many men. Subai kept the pressure on, landing critical hits on every exposed target. The commander's aide begged for a retreat, fearing further unnecessary losses. He warned Subai that he was making a powerful enemy today. Subai replied that he did not care about their family names. He stood his ground, daring them to try and stop his progress again. The aide grew furious, his face reddening as he reached for his sword. Yuchan snapped at Zhang Fei, ordering him to shut his mouth immediately. She held up a hand, signaling her remaining warriors to stand down. She looked at the protagonist, proposing a deal to settle their dispute. Subai tilted his head, waiting to hear what the lady had to offer. Yuchan watches the young man with sharp, calculating eyes. She demands to know his price for letting them pass. Zhang Fei stares at the lady in total confusion. He wonders why she bothers negotiating with a lowly solo player. Yuchan silences her assistant with a cold, sharp glare. She warns him that any delay in reaching the tower is his fault. Subai crosses his arms and states his final demand. He promises they will face no further interference from him. In return, he requires a protection tax of 1 silver coin per player. He tells them that this is a perfectly fair price for their lives. Zhang Fei scoffs, asking if the boy is living in a fantasy world. Subai stares him down and asks if they agree to the terms. Lin Yuchan nods and tosses 3 gold coins at his feet. She calls the excess a small token of their friendship. The girl asks the stranger to add her to his friend list. Subai pauses and tells her that will cost another gold coin. Yuchan smiles thinly and tosses the requested coin to him. Zhang Fei watches the exchange with a frustrated, silent scowl. He mutters that the boy is blatantly exploiting their wealth. Yuchan proposes that they team up to hunt the boss together. Subai considers the offer, knowing the first kill is vital. He agrees to the partnership on one specific condition. Subai declares that he will be the leader of the group. Zhang Fei laughs, mocking the idea of a solo player leading elites. He reminds the group that they are trained by the powerful Ling family. Subai ignores the insult and rests his hand on his blade. He states that they must follow his instructions to secure the victory. If they refuse, he tells them there is nothing left to discuss. He refuses to let their incompetence slow down his progress. Zhang Fei whispers to his commander that this stranger cannot be trusted. Lin Yuchan agrees to travel together but rejects his leadership. Subai turns his back on the squad without hesitation. He tells them that the deal is off if he is not in charge. He suggests they might encounter one another again in the future. Yuchan asks if he is certain he wants to walk away. She offers him 100 gold pieces to reconsider his terms. Subai shakes his head, knowing the first kill reward is worth far more. He turns away, refusing to waste any more of his time. Zhang Fei sneers, convinced the boy thinks he is superior to them. He claims the boy is obsessed with breaking the world record. Yuchan watches him leave, doubting a solo player can succeed. Subai walks alone, feeling the weight of his new gold coins. He decides it is time to maximize his gear's potential. He selects the fast upgrade method, despite the higher cost. His armor glows with a dull, reinforced sheen. He checks his stats, seeing his total HP climb past 300. He readies his dagger, brimming with cold, calculated confidence. The town tavern buzzes with the chatter of eager new players. Patrons discuss the unusual activity of this year's incoming class. They bet on which guild will secure the first boss clear. The manager wonders if the Yan Nation will hold the record this year. A regular notes that last year's record was stolen by a Bacon Nation newcomer. He mentions that the rival held an SSS rank profession. The tavern hopes for someone with at least an SS rank talent. Subai sprints past low-level monsters in the forest. He knows he must hurry to secure the first clear himself. A sudden, loud roar echoes through the trees ahead. Subai freezes, wondering if someone has already reached the boss. He catches a faint, artificial scent in the air. It is the smell of energy concealment powder. He knows the powder only hides users from weak, ordinary mobs. It fails against monsters that vastly outrank the player. He realizes this is a cheap, low-level batch of the substance. The path ahead is cluttered with players fighting their way forward. Subai joins the fray, carving through the remaining monsters. He is relieved to see the boss chamber is still sealed. A player points him out, asking if they should stop the intruder. Wang Zexi watches him pass and dismisses him as a lone wolf. He is the legitimate son of the wealthy Wang family. Li Weijian stands beside him, mocking the boy's foolishness. She is the daughter of the powerful Li family. She wonders how a piece of trash dares to hunt their prize. Subai ignores their insults and approaches the boss chamber. He hurls his dagger, striking the monster in the chest. The Goblin King growls, rising from his stone throne. Subai stands his ground and tells the boss to attack. Wang Zexi watches in shock, wondering what the boy intends to do. He assumes the boss will crush the lone player instantly. Li Weijian laughs, calling the boy a suicide artist. The Goblin King swings a massive club toward the boy. Subai dodges with a fluid, practiced motion. He notes that the monster is far too slow and predictable. He lands a clean, critical hit on the boss's chest. He leaps back, watching the monster's blood spray the floor. Subai keeps moving, striking the boss's eyes and lower back. Liu Jian watches, stunned by the boy's perfect kiting technique. She wonders how a newbie possesses such high-level combat skills. Wang Zexi bites his lip, unable to explain the boy's performance. He decides to wait, hoping to swoop in and steal the kill. He tells his team to act like mantises stalking a cicada. They will strike the moment the boy begins to fall. Subai lands another critical hit with a calm expression. He mocks the monster, telling it that its screams are useless. The Goblin King roars and slams his arms against the ground. Subai is surprised as the boss summons a squad of guards. The players behind him are suddenly surrounded by goblins. Wang Zexi shouts, ordering his squad to switch to offensive mode. Li Yujin draws her bow, cursing the boy for the chaos. The elite squad struggles to maintain their formation. Wang Zexi commands his people to clear a path for him. He watches the boss's HP drop, believing he still has an opening. Subai notices the rival holding a glowing, mid-tier scroll. He smiles, knowing the boy is rich, but ultimately naive. Wang Zexi throws the scroll, activating a fire explosion technique. A massive blast of heat consumes the center of the room. The players cheer, believing their leader has secured the kill. Li Yujin praises Zexi for his magnificent display of power. Wang Zexi frowns, noticing the lack of a system notification. A golden text box materializes in the air above them. It confirms the Goblin King was defeated by the player Subai. Li Yujin stares at the screen, refusing to believe the news. The smoke clears to reveal Subai standing on the boss's corpse. Zexi demands to know how he finished the monster alone. Subai explains that critical hits stack when aimed at weak points. He confesses that he waited for Zexi to waste his scroll. He had the boss at 5% health all along. He delivers the final blow just as the explosion fades. Subai turns away, leaving the elite players in silence. A system notification pulses bright red in the corner of the tavern. The text announces that the Goblin King has fallen to the player Subai. Nearby patrons murmur in disbelief at the sudden update. They question if a powerful Su family truly exists in the Eastern Zone. A tavern regular notes that the first kill usually belongs to the top 3 families. The crowd wonders if a hidden heir has finally stepped into the light. A young woman checks her interface and frowns at the name on the screen. She questions how a common player could possibly surpass the elite guilds. Liu Chan watches the tavern erupt in whispers and orders her soldiers to mobilize. She demands that her forces gather at the assembly point immediately. Liu Chan turns to Wang Zexi to ask for his next strategic move. Zexi suggests they rest and regroup to storm the next boss in an hour. The system chimes again to grant the victor his hard-earned rewards. Subai receives the right to enter the Tower of God trial. 11 silver chests materialize in his inventory with a soft metallic glow. The system declares that Subai has officially entered the server's top 100. Another silver chest appears as a bonus for his high ranking. He decides to open the loot before stepping into the tower portal. His fingers brush the lid of the first chest. He finds a pair of rare one-step boots and 10 silver coins inside. The next chest yields 10 small experience potions and 38 silver coins. He examines the boots and notes the high-quality Gore-Tex weave. They promise a significant boost to his movement speed despite his low level. The season rankings for the Tower of God display in the air. Subai sees his name sitting comfortably in 98th place. Less than 2 hours have passed since he cleared the newbie village. He consumes a small experience potion to accelerate his growth. He steps through the shimmering portal to the first floor of the tower. The environment shifts to a dark, stone-walled labyrinth. He recognizes the layout of the Darkness Dungeon from his previous life. He moves forward, turns right, and continues down the narrow corridor. A ghoul materializes suddenly from a flickering shadow. Its jagged teeth and hollow skull mark it as a level 3 threat. The monster lunges with unnatural clawed agility. Subai dodges the strike and drives his dagger into the creature's neck. The monster dissolves into wisps of black smoke. Another ghoul appears behind him, snarling in the dim light. He pivots and lands a second critical strike before the beast can attack. The system confirms he has reached level 3 and awards 2 attribute points. He pauses before a junction marked by 2 glowing stones. A red stone pulses with an ominous, difficult energy. He chooses the path of the red stone to secure better rewards. In the distant kingdom of Yan, Juwan receives a report on his guild's progress. His assistant boasts that Junshi is currently leading the pack. Juwan stares at the horizon and claims that early leads mean nothing. He insists that a true king is forged through fire and struggle alone. Subai methodically clears the corridor of encroaching monsters. Half an hour passes as he carves a path through the dark maze. He clears the final chamber and prepares to move deeper. several glowing squares suddenly manifest in the air before him. A rare gray square indicates the presence of a hidden secret room. He enters the chamber to find a swarm of ghouls waiting. He activates his unique skill and dives into the fray. The sound of clashing steel echoes through the confined space for 30 minutes. The system announces that he has reached level 4. 2 more attribute points appear in his stat window. He receives a gold coin as a reward for a perfect clearance. He checks his balanced stats and declares himself ready for the floor boss. He scans the leaderboard and notes that Junshi still holds the top spot. He enters the massive boss chamber with his dagger drawn. A towering minotaur stands on a dais, waiting for a challenger. Its horns glow with a faint, crackling electromagnetic current. Subai steps into the light and greets the beast. The boss's minions swarm toward him in a frantic wave. He cuts through the lesser monsters with efficient, lethal movements. He rushes the minotaur as the last of the guards falls. The minotaur roars and activates its massive, heavy axe. Winged monsters descend from the ceiling to support their master. The minotaur swings its weapon with a thunderous impact against the floor. Subai lunges forward and slides beneath the monster's guard. He plunges his blade into the creature's neck for a critical hit. The boss screams in agony and lashes out with a clawed hand. Subai maintains his rhythm and strikes the winged creatures from the air. The system awards him bonus experience for every kill. He reaches level 5 and assigns his new attribute points. He activates his one-step boots to vanish from the boss's sight. The minotaur enters a berserker rage, swinging wildly at the empty air. Subai watches from a distance as the monster exhausts its energy. He waits for the berserk effect to fade before closing the distance. He appears behind the monster and mocks its lack of awareness. The minotaur gasps as its movements grow sluggish and heavy. Subai leaps into the air and drives his dagger deep into the beast. The monster collapses to the floor with a final, rattling breath. The system announces that the first floor has been cleared. Access to the second floor of the Tower of God is now open. He exhales, noting that the clear was slower than he preferred. He pulls a heavy, ornate cannon from his inventory. The 10,000 Calamities destruction cannon hums with immense power. He marvels at the craftsmanship of his father's weapon. A massive explosion rocks the tower as he prepares his next move. The system officially marks the victory for the Kingdom of Yan. The news of the record-breaking clear spreads like wildfire through the lobby. A young man stares at the broadcast screen in disbelief. He asks the crowd how anyone could possibly clear the first floor in under an hour. The surrounding players murmur in agreement, suspecting the mysterious challenger of cheating. Speculation grows about the identity of such a terrifying newcomer within the Kingdom of Yan. Ju Wan watches the leaderboard with a narrowed gaze. He demands to know the identity of the person who shattered the previous speed record. His assistant informs him that the young master Junshi also performed admirably. The assistant notes that Junshi nearly broke the speed record himself. Ju Wan snaps that the effort is meaningless because the lead is already lost. The assistant reminds him that 9 floors of the Tower of God still remain. He suggests that if Junshi finishes the next level first, he can still claim the title. Ju Wan orders an immediate investigation into the identity of the record breaker. Lan Yuchan watches the same leaderboard update from her own location. She acknowledges that she severely underestimated the young man's potential. Inside the trial, Subai eyes the golden chest resting on the stone floor. He knows that such rare containers only manifest after a first-time boss kill. He pries open the lid to reveal a glowing, perfect-grade weapon. The item is a golden hoe, crafted with high-quality materials. Subai examines the tool and notes its potential utility for his future game plans. He also retrieves a beginner's experience orb from the chest. He crushes the orb in his palm, and the system confirms his level increase. He decides it is the perfect time to upgrade his current equipment. He spends his accumulated gold coins to trigger an instant enhancement. A surge of energy ripples through his body as his statistics improve. He grips his new entrance ticket and prepares for the next challenge. His goal is to conquer the first 10 floors within 24 hours. He steps into the portal and emerges into the scorching Naka desert. The system displays his progress as 0%. He surveys the shifting dunes and realizes this floor requires defeating 10 waves of monsters. He decides to accelerate the spawn rate to save precious time. A level 3 sawtooth lizard lunges from the sand toward him. Several more of the reptilian creatures materialize behind the first. Subai sighs, finding their movement speed sluggish and inefficient. He decides to take the initiative and charges directly into the swarm. He moves with aggressive, calculated precision. His blade flashes, leaving deep wounds on the thick hides of the lizards. The creatures collapse into dust under the weight of his critical strikes. He clears the entire wave in less than 2 minutes. More lizards swarm the area, but Subai remains unfazed. He activates his step-forward skill to boost his agility. He weaves between the monsters, determined to break every record from his past life. He reaches the boss room at the end of the desert. He mocks the wolf cub boss, warning it to fight back or face a quick death. He strikes with unrelenting speed, forcing the boss's health bar to 0. The system announces that the second floor is officially cleared. He receives another golden chest as his reward. Inside, he discovers a set of combined lilac gold armor. The armor is level 5 and grants a healing effect every 5 seconds. He inspects the gear, noting the high-quality glow of the perfect equipment. The items are expensive, but their performance justifies the cost. He uses another experience orb, pushing his level to 7. He assigns his 2 new attribute points and prepares for the 3rd floor. He notes that his expenses are rising, necessitating a faster way to earn coins. He enters the 3rd floor, known as the Silk Cave. Low-level beasts and insects immediately swarm the entrance. Subai laughs at their boldness and dives into the cluster of monsters. Back on the 1st floor, a different player with a heavy cannon stands over a defeated minotaur. He claims that no one can withstand the power of his 10,000 Calamities destruction cannon. The system declares the 1st floor cleared by this player in 2 hours and 25 minutes. He wipes sweat from his brow, relieved that the boss's range was limited. He receives an exclusive longsword as his prize from a silver chest. Shunya feels proud of his rare acquisition. Suddenly, a massive system announcement echoes throughout the entire kingdom. Subai has successfully set a new record for the first clear of the 2nd floor. The players of the Yan Kingdom cheer for another victory. Junxia stares at the message in total shock. He wonders how anyone could clear the 2nd floor in only 29 minutes. He drops to his knees, doubting his own strength. Subai continues his relentless pace, dispatching monsters with ease. He declares his intention to show everyone the true potential of a speedrun. The system announces his record-breaking clear of the 3rd floor in 25 minutes. He enters the 4th floor, the Desert of Bloody Flames. He clears the map of all monsters in record time. The system congratulates him for setting the fastest clear time for the 4th floor. He moves to the 5th floor, the Misty Swamp. He defeats the boss monster with an efficient single-strike maneuver. The system confirms another record-breaking clear in 19 minutes. Players across the kingdom marvel at his consistent dominance. They debate whether he is a genius or a terrifying monster. Some suggest that the current season's trials are simply too easy for everyone. They note that even the son of the guildmaster brought powerful weapons. Others point out that Subai remains fast despite using standard gear. In a high-level meeting room, the strategy group gathers to discuss the anomaly. Pei Lingji expresses a growing interest in the mysterious player. Shinantian agrees, noting the boy's blank history and lack of connections. Linzi questions if the boy discovered something incredible inside the tower. Nantian reminds them that the drop rate for epic weapons is extremely low. He notes that only 10 such weapons exist in the entire Yan Kingdom. Linji mocks Nantian for being overly invested in a rookie's equipment. The commander, Su Kang, slams his fist onto the table to silence the bickering. He orders the group to remain calm and focused. Su Kang suggests they attempt to buy the epic weapon if the boy fails his rank up. He adds that if Subai succeeds, they will invite him to the official trial. Nantian argues that rookies must follow standard protocols and start in the rookie team. Su Kang asks if Nantian has seen the quality of rookie teams in the last 2 years. He decides that if Subai can win the title of Rookie King, he deserves a promotion. Lin Jie warns Nantian to focus on his own training. She reminds him that he faces demotion if he fails his 2nd transformation within the month. Subai checks his current stats in the corner of his vision. He feels satisfied with his progress, noting that each level grants 8 random points. He realizes that upgrading his weapon consumes a massive amount of energy. He calculates that each future upgrade will cost 13 gold coins. He needs 500 coins to clear the 10th floor and 200 more for the title. He stares at the cost with a growing sense of panic. He reviews his messages from Lin Yuchan and formulates a plan. He decides it is time to turn his loot into profit. He offers the girl a batch of rare crystals at a price below the market average. Yu-chan immediately agrees to purchase his entire inventory. He gives her 6 days to raise the necessary funds. He reflects on how the wealthy hold the power in this world. The deal is finalized, and he steps into the portal for the 6th floor. The 6th floor is known as the Wild Oasis. He notes that the farming difficulty has increased exponentially in this region. He pulls a flying dragon crossbow from his inventory. The weapon features a barrage mode and a 50% speed increase. He realizes the weapon is the perfect tool for his current situation. He worries about his limited supply of arrows and the ticking clock. He finds himself surrounded by a pack of aggressive creatures. He smiles, thinking the monsters have essentially delivered themselves to his blade. He raises the crossbow and takes careful aim at the nearest target. The arrows fly true, neutralizing the monsters with perfect accuracy. He activates the rapid-fire mode and mows down the remaining threats. Each arrow finds its target with lethal precision. The monsters collapse into dust as the barrage ends. Subai observes the wreckage and notes the impressive damage output. He sets the crossbow aside to scavenge the remaining arrows from the field. His quiver remains dangerously low after the intense firefight. He recalls the map layout and anticipates the boss moving north along the river. The distant sound of rushing water confirms his suspicion. He steps into a wide clearing near a massive waterfall. Armed amphibious monsters patrol the surface of the lake. These 9th-level creatures prepare to unleash their signature harpoon shot. Subai unleashes a flurry of bolts before they can react. The amphibians vanish in a flash of light as they hit the water. A shimmering B-rank class change crystal drops into the shallow pool. He scans the item and sends a trade request to Lin Yu-chan. She marvels at his speed and offers 10 million in cash. He accepts the trade for 100 gold coins. The deal concludes instantly as he keeps his eyes on the horizon. A deep, guttural roar vibrates through the dense trees. The familiar sound signals the arrival of a major boss. The elite Oasis demon fish emerges from the depths of the lake. The level 10 creature towers over the clearing with a grotesque, epic form. Subai grips his crossbow and prepares for the final showdown. The boss raises a heavy trident to strike. 3 bolts fly true and bury themselves into the demon's chest. Subai leaps into the air to avoid the creature's reach. He continues to fire downward while hovering above the lake. The boss hurls its trident with immense force. Subai slides across the mud and watches the weapon sail past his head. He dismisses the boss as a predictable threat with no upgrades. A final, focused shot pierces the creature's heart. The Oasis demonfish crashes into the water with a heavy splash. The system announces the 6th floor has been successfully cleared. A portal to the 7th floor flickers into existence. He notes that this battle took longer than his previous records. The title of Amphibian Hunter appears above his name. 5 silver chests materialize on the ground as his reward. He opens the boxes to find gear that is barely functional. He spends 10 silver coins to upgrade his equipment. A pair of excellent quality gauntlets appears in his inventory. The stats align perfectly with his build. He equips the bracers and feels the surge of power. He steps through the portal toward the next challenge. He sets a mental goal to clear 10 floors within 20 hours. The King of Newcomers title now feels within his reach. A system notification alerts him that Lin Mengshuan obtained an S-class berserker. The tavern patrons gossip about the rising stars of the Lin family. They speculate that the invincible sword Li is backing his relative. Lin Mengshuan quickly becomes the primary contender for the new title. Observers note that Subai already reached the 7th floor while others lag behind. Rumors circulate that she possesses a secret ace provided by her powerful family. Zhu Jungxi slams his fist against a table in frustration. He falls to 3rd place as his rival climbs the rankings. He vows to prove his dominance once he clears the 5th floor. The 7th floor, the gloomy castle, looms ahead. Subai engages a shadow creature in a narrow corridor. He delivers a crushing blow to the monster's exposed back. The desert of red flame burns in the 4th floor. Lin Mengshuan swings her massive 2-handed sword with desperate intensity. She refuses to yield to the overwhelming tide of enemies. The 5th floor, the misty swamp, remains thick with fog. Zhu Jungxi uncovers a glowing shard of the Stone of Destiny. He confirms his transition into the mechanic class with an SS rank crystal. The 8th floor, the Abyss of Suffering, tests Subai's endurance. He maintains a relentless pace through the dark tunnels. Monsters shatter against his bolts before they can close the distance. Only 2 floors remain between him and his final objective. Lin Mengshuan shouts that they must accelerate their progress on the 6th floor. Zhu Zhongxi fires his heavy-caliber weapon and vows to catch the leaders. The 9th floor, the City of Nightmares, greets Su Bai with grotesque visions. He cuts through the horde and expresses his disgust for the region. Lin Mengshuan strikes the 7th floor boss and eyes the leaderboards. The 10th floor, the Platform of Nightmares, awaits. Su Bai stands alone before the final challenge. The boss, Hamer's Nightmare, shifts between light and shadow. He ignores the creature's taunts and charges forward. The boss lunges with aggressive, brutal strikes. Su Bai parries with his blade and prepares a counterattack. The Nightmare warns that the Desecrator of Dreams will suffer. He smirks, remembering that this trick failed once before. The boss screams that the Nightmare is truly invincible. A system message flashes to announce the 10th floor has been cleared. The Yan nation celebrates another record-breaking victory. He recalls his past life where he cleared 900 floors without this recognition. The prestigious title of King of Newcomers finally belongs to him. He gathers his 5 silver reward chests. A white tiger sword emerges from the first container. He decides the weapon is a perfect fit for his style. The next chest reveals a lost treasure map. He secures the rare energy shield from the 3rd box. The 4th chest holds a stone of radiance to mask his gear's glow. He finds a pair of fire dragon gloves in the final reward. The gloves possess near-epic statistics. He slams his fist into the floor and watches a shockwave ripple outward. The display of power leaves him satisfied with his current build. He prepares to sell the remaining 30 silver chests on the market. The system broadcasts his status as the first player to conquer the 10th floor. An SSS rank class change crystal sits in his inventory as a legendary reward. The military conference room fills with tension as they review his footage. Captain Su Kang orders a full dossier on the mysterious player. He commands Peiling Shui to intercept the boy as soon as he leaves the rookie zone. Lin Shui questions what they can offer to attract such talent. Su Kang insists on offering the maximum budget, matching the 11th squad's resources. The officers realize the captain intends to recruit him for the main roster. They hope to become the 2nd strongest unit in the kingdom. Peiling Shui leaves the room to execute the order. The tavern for newbies remains fixated on the leaderboard. They whisper about how he achieved these results without a class change. The tavern doors explode inward with a deafening crash. A man carrying a heavy sack stands in the dusty light. The patrons stare in silence, unsure if the intruder has a death wish. Su Bai walks calmly toward the counter. He ignores the glares and approaches the tavern manager. The crowd expects the manager to strike him down for his insolence. She watches him with a sharp, calculating gaze. Su Bai orders a signature cocktail known as the Meteor Shower. The manager pauses as she recognizes the order. The patrons wonder why she has not yet drawn her weapon. The tavern manager stares at the heavy sack resting on the wooden counter. She notes that the young man has brought in a decent haul. Su Bai gestures casually and mentions his beastfolk companion would have sensed the loot anyway. The girl narrows her eyes and warns him that flattery will not lower the price. She demands 1 gold coin per drink and refuses to start a tab. The young hunter downs the Starfall cocktail in a single, fluid motion. She observes that he swallowed the expensive liquid without even tasting the flavor. Su Bai stretches his tired limbs and requests a room on the 2nd floor. The tavern door swings open to reveal Lin Yu-chan entering the main hall. She pauses in the center of the room with her attendants trailing behind. The young lady recalls her previous encounter and silently congratulates herself for avoiding a fight. Su Bai gestures toward the newcomer and invites her to inspect his goods. Lin Yu-chan approaches the table and stares at the massive, bulging sack. She wonders if the bag truly contains as much wealth as it appears. The group retreats into the privacy of a VIP room upstairs. Su Bai tips the sack over and spills a mountain of crystals onto the table. The onlookers gasp at the sight of the rare, glowing stones. They whisper to each other about the mysterious spatial bag that holds them all. Lin Yu-chan's eyes sparkle as she begins counting the items for her ledger. The protagonist pulls an S-rank crystal from his coat and offers it to her. She stares at the rare object and asks for his desired price. Su Bai requests 10% of the value in cash and the rest in gold coins. He hands her a detailed list of materials required for the exchange. Lin Yu-chan signals her assistant to begin the procurement process immediately. The girl offers 2 billion in cash for the S-rank crystal. Subai blinks, surprised by the sheer scale of her generous offer. She explains that S-rank goods are often impossible to purchase at any price. She promises to include 200,000 gold coins and a private mansion in Lingfeng City. The assistants look stunned, knowing such real estate is never sold to commoners. Subai accepts the terms without haggling for a better deal. They reach for a quill and ink to formalize the agreement on paper. The young pair signs the contract and seals the deal with a firm handshake. Lin Yu-chan beams with excitement as she tucks the crystal away. She reminds him that the Lin Corporation would be honored to have him on their roster. The protagonist replies that he has no plans to switch classes at this stage. She presses him on the risks of holding such a valuable item alone. Subai waves her away, claiming he has his own plans for the future. He walks toward his room, leaving the tavern guests whispering in his wake. The patrons argue over whether this is truly the man who conquered the 10th floor. They conclude he must be hiding his identity behind his humble attire. Dana, the tavern owner, watches the room door with a frustrated scowl. She marches to his door, pushes it open, and finds him sleeping on the couch. She nudges the young man with her foot to command his attention. Subai rubs his eyes and asks why she has invaded his privacy. Dana complains that his presence has brought her business to a standstill. She demands a solution or threatens to handle the problem herself. The young man tosses a handful of gold coins onto the table. Dana collects the money and promises to keep the crowd at bay. Subai warns her to avoid any unnecessary bloodshed in the tavern. She scoffs, denying that she is some kind of mindless maniac. The protagonist pulls out another crystal and presents it to her. Dana stares at the object and calls the boy a total monster. He announces his intention to begin the trial of the gods. The tavern owner looks shocked that a mere student knows of such a thing. Subai ignores her confusion, as he has already cleared this trial in a past life. He asks if he is a suitable candidate for the dangerous path. Dana explains that the crystal acts as a key to a unique hidden class. She warns him that the stone will vanish forever upon a single failed attempt. Subai confirms his resolve and refuses to back down. Dana clenches her fist and shatters the crystal into fine dust. A glowing magic circle ignites beneath the girl's feet. She pushes the boy forward into the swirling light. The floorboards beneath his feet dissolve into thin air. Subai falls into the dark abyss while shouting his frustration. He lands hard on a massive stone slab surrounded by a river of lava. The young man sits up and notes that the environment feels hauntingly familiar. He checks his status screen and confirms his equipment slots are locked. All previous buffs are stripped away by the trial's harsh rules. Subai stands and draws his trusty golden pickaxe from his inventory. He senses a swarm of grave demons emerging from the shadows. The arena is small, and the molten lava waits to claim any misstep. Elite level 10 demons charge toward him with jagged claws. Subai lunges forward to meet the incoming wave of monsters. His blade slices through the darkness with lethal precision. The demons disintegrate into ash as they strike the fiery river. He monitors the system log as it tallies his points and kills. The protagonist performs a steel slash to clear a path through the horde. He weaves in aura waves and piercing strikes to maintain his momentum. The combat grows intense as the demons multiply in the cramped space. He realizes his current damage output is slightly slower than he prefers. He pushes his body to the limit to maximize his point accumulation. The system records another successful kill and adds to his stat pool. Subai feels a surge of satisfaction as he earns his first recovery window. Back in the tavern, Dana shouts at the patrons to stay away from the second floor. She threatens to use her weapon against anyone who dares to trespass. She declares that the SSS rank crystal is gone and the boy has vanished. The crowd remains skeptical, refusing to believe the prize has been destroyed. Dana keeps her guard up, waiting for the trial to reach its conclusion. The young man stands amidst the carnage, ready for the next wave. He knows the path to power requires enduring the trials of the gods. He tightens his grip on the pickaxe and prepares for the final boss. The lava bubbles and hisses as the shadows deepen around the arena. He maintains his focus, knowing that his past experience is his greatest weapon. The system flashes a notification, signaling the start of the second phase. Subai takes a deep breath and steps forward into the heat. The guild commander stares at the official document held by his assistant. The assistant reports that the SSS rank crystal has been destroyed. He confirms that Dana the tavern owner crushed the stone with her bare hands. The room falls into a heavy, suffocating silence. Captain Sukang grips his desk in visible despair. He demands to know how such a vital resource could be lost so easily. Nantin scoffs and remarks that the boy was never fit for the elite squad anyway. Pei Ling looks at Nantin with clear annoyance. She wonders aloud why he is even present at this meeting. Nantin shoots a sharp glance at Ling Wei, implying a hidden motive. Captain Sukang slams his hand down to stop the bickering. He orders the tower entrance to be placed under immediate guard. He commands his men to seize the youth the moment he emerges from the novice zone. Nantin asks why they should bother if the crystal is already gone. The captain explains that the boy holds a unique, secret technique. He predicts the boy will be capable of crafting a new crystal within a year. Pei Ling smiles and offers the captain mocking praise for his cleverness. Nantin asks if they should use brute force or intimidation to extract the secret. Sukang dismisses the violent suggestion with a wave of his hand. He declares that he will use mountains of gold to buy the boy's loyalty instead. The captain views this acquisition as essential for the nation's future. Inside the Trial of the Gods, the first round reaches its conclusion. Subai wipes sweat from his brow and breathes a sigh of relief. The system displays a notification confirming 10 hours of intense combat. The young man looks toward the horizon, knowing 9 rounds remain. He checks his progress bar, noting only 11,000 monsters defeated so far. His goal of 1 million kills feels like a mountain yet to climb. The system flashes, signaling the start of the second round. His health and stamina bars refill in a golden burst of light. A fresh wave of insect monsters descends from the dark sky. Subai grips his blade and prepares for the incoming sting of their attacks. He realizes that a direct strike could cause him to bleed out. The protagonist reaches into his inventory and activates a weapon swap. A long, flexible, spiked whip materializes in his right hand. He finds the whip far more effective against the aerial swarm. The monsters possess high speed but fragile, paper-thin defenses. He unleashes an aura wave, clearing a path through the buzzing mass. The battle continues for 12 grueling hours in the cramped arena. Finally, the last of the insects disintegrate into piles of gray ash. Subai sheathes the whip and draws a sharp, balanced spear. He reviews his kill count and confirms he is meeting his required pace. The system initiates the recovery process once more. The third round begins as a new wave of magic goblins appears. Subai pulls a short, sturdy bow from his inventory. He notices the goblins arranging themselves in a precise, staggered formation. The monsters prepare to launch a coordinated ranged attack from a distance. Subai fires arrows with rhythmic, deadly precision. The goblins attempt to retreat, but his projectiles strike them mid-stride. He maneuvers across the battlefield using a rapid teleportation skill. He dodges a barrage of fireballs that scorch the stone beneath his feet. High above on the 10th floor, Lin Mengshuan finishes her own trial. The system announces her completion time of 40 hours. She reads the notification and realizes she has only secured second place. A frown touches her lips as she thinks of the mysterious Subai. In the city center, a crowd gathers around a public announcement screen. The townspeople whisper that history is repeating itself. They recall how the city of Yang once started strong before failing at the end. Everyone wonders where the elusive Subai is hiding his progress. Inside the tavern, Lin Yuchan snacks on sweet pastries with her assistant. The assistant asks why she rejected the invitation from Lin Mengshuan. She suggests that joining forces would elevate the Lin clan to new heights. Lin Yuchan asks if the assistant has prepared the items she requested. She reminds her that today marks the final day of the trial. Lin Yuchan stares out the window, calculating the passage of 6 days. She guesses the boy is still trapped within the dangerous novice zone. Back in the trial, Subai faces the 7th round of monsters. He fires ice-tipped arrows that pierce the frozen air. The monsters shatter like brittle glass upon contact with his shots. He checks the time, noting that only 3 rounds remain. The 8th round begins with a swarm of poisonous armored scarabs. The young man fights to finish before the time limit expires. 6 hours of relentless combat pass in a blur of motion. He reaches the boss chamber, finding a massive, towering entity waiting. Subai charges, slicing the behemoth in 2 with a single strike. The system flashes a message. 1 million points have been achieved. Only 24 hours remain until the trial concludes. He approaches the final arena and calls out the boss. The Red Lotus Demon emerges, a level 10 king of the pits. Subai recognizes the monster from his memories of a past life. The Demon King swings a massive weapon, threatening to crush him. Subai jumps aside, his eyes scanning for a weakness in the armor. He knows the beast possesses 2,000 points of impenetrable defense. He waits for the precise moment the creature exposes its neck. The young man uses his cat's claw skill to dart around the boss. He leaps high, drawing his bow to fire 3 arrows at once. The projectiles strike the monster's chest, causing it to stumble backward. Subai switches to his sword for a final, heavy strike. The system announces the trial is complete with a record-breaking score. The requirements for the Hidden Soul class are finally met. Subai gazes at the reward, knowing this class outranks any SSS rank. He remembers using this specific power to clear all 900 floors before. He decides to test the legend of the Golden Hoe first. He tosses the tool off the cliff, watching it vanish into the void. 2 glowing orbs of distinct colors rise from the ground. The system confirms he has received the dual class, Hero and Demon King. Subai feels a strange sensation as his appearance flickers for a moment. He checks his status screen and sees his stats have increased 5-fold. His attack power doubles while his mana capacity becomes truly infinite. The young man smiles, knowing he is finally ready to carry the burden forward. Lin Yuchan opens her friend list to search for his name. The tavern floor trembles beneath the feet of the patrons. Dust falls from the rafters as the structural shaking continues. Dana pushes open the heavy doors of the visitor's room. She spots Subai standing calmly in the center of the chamber. The girl asks if he truly succeeded in his dangerous endeavor. The young man nods once, his expression unreadable and composed. Dana stares at him, her eyes wide with genuine disbelief. She questions how he could possibly hold the class of both Hero and Demon King. The legend stated those 2 forces could never exist within a single soul. Subai remarks that he expected no less from the world's most powerful force. The tavern manager watches him, clearly grasping the gravity of his words. Subai stretches his arms, signaling his intention to depart the tavern. He tells the girl that his time for hiding has finally reached its end. He gestures toward the door and asks if she wants to accompany him. Dana shakes her head, muttering that the outside world holds no appeal for her. The young man smiles and vows to return whenever he craves her drinks. The girl tosses a small, glowing token across the room toward him. She tells him to keep it as a reward for surviving the god's trial. Subai catches the item, noting its weight and intricate craftsmanship. It is a concealment token designed to mask a user's items and status. Dana watches him, hoping this strange young man will not die too soon. She knows the tower is swarming with entities hostile to his new class. Without that token, monsters would surely track and eliminate him on sight. Subai vanishes into the shadows, calling back a soft word of gratitude. The tavern manager sighs, her face betraying a flicker of lingering worry. The city of Rome sprawls before Subai as he steps through the gates. This is the primary hub for adventurers leaving the beginner's village. Players rush past him, intent on grabbing quests and visiting portal sites. Subai scans the architecture, finding the familiar layout comforting. He whispers that he has finally returned to this place. A group of figures emerges from the crowd to block his path. Subai stops, annoyed that they managed to track him so quickly. Lin Yuchan steps forward, announcing that she has finally located him. She asks why he remained offline for so many consecutive days. The girl gestures toward a nearby building and invites him inside. Subai accepts the offer, following her toward the center of the district. The Lin family has erected a private club of immense, gilded luxury. Subai observes the decor, noting the family does not skimp on expenses. He tells the girl that he has gathered almost everything on her list. Lin Yuchan nods, impressed by his speed in completing the tasks. She subtracts the gold spent on materials and hands him the remaining coins. The girl then asks about his current class rank with a sharp gaze. Subai pauses, wondering why she needs that specific information. She explains that rumors claim he lost his class change crystal. Online forums are currently flooded with insults regarding his status. Subai asks how the public discovered the crystal was destroyed. Lin Yuchan surmises that Dana let the details slip during a conversation. The young man admits that the tavern owner told the truth. The crystal is indeed gone, yet he remains entirely unbothered. Lin Yuchan watches him, surprised by his lack of visible anger. She guesses he must be an elite, someone who does not fear such losses. She thinks to herself that he likely possesses a hidden backup crystal. Subai cuts the silence, asking her to state her true intentions. She invites him to join the Lin Guild to farm bosses together. Subai considers the offer, recognizing the logic of the suggestion. The game difficulty spikes once players exit the beginner zones. He tells her he is open to the idea but refuses to join the guild. Instead, he offers to guide her team through the first 5 floors. He demands a group consisting of 5 mages with high damage output. Lin Yuchan stares at him, baffled by the small number of recruits. She notes that clearing a floor usually requires a raid of 20 people. Subai replies that she does not have to believe his assessment. He adds that he has no interest in the standard leaderboard records. Yuchan agrees to the terms, though she remains visibly skeptical. She asks for the start date and requests to use the guild's name. Subai dismisses the concern, telling her to start the following morning. Zhang Fei's assistant scoffs, calling the young man a total con artist. Yuchan silences the assistant, reminding him of Subai's past combat feats. She orders the man to find 4 B-rank mages for the upcoming run. Zhang Fei glares at the protagonist, silently vowing to destroy him later. Subai walks toward the central gate of the city lord's residence. A passerby mocks him, asking if he has finally grown tired of life. The guard informs him that a man named Wu Sai blocks the path. Subai asks why this stranger insists on standing in his way. Wu Sai warns that breaking into the residence results in immediate execution. The protagonist whispers to his shadow that he knows how to enter. He understands that only overwhelming strength grants him passage here. The guard adds that the Lord is currently training in the private yard. Wu Sai and his companions gawk as the guards escort Subai inside. The protagonist enters the yard and spots the captain of the guards. Orlando Mullen, a level 180 Earth mage, strikes a training dummy. Beside him stands Black Ryan, the city lord, and a level 200 swordsman. Subai smiles, realizing he has stumbled into a rare training event. This cutscene allows players to learn powerful, exclusive skills for free. A guard instructs the hero to remain still while they finish their spar. Subai watches their movements, copying the techniques into his memory. He successfully acquires the Orlando Earth Magic skill during the session. 10 minutes pass before the 2 masters sheath their weapons. The guard approaches the city lord to report the hero's presence. Black Ryan demands to see the official badge of the hero. Subai presents the token, causing the lord and captain to kneel. Black Ryan admits he never expected to see a hero again in his lifetime. Subai questions the meaning of the 100-year cycle mentioned by the lord. He remembers the lord speaking these exact words in his previous life. Black Ryan explains the legend of the hero who destroys the coming darkness. Subai sighs, thinking that ancient legends are always frustratingly vague. He tells the lord to skip the history lesson and offer him quests. Black Ryan mentions his missing dog and offers 10 gold coins. The hero scoffs, insulted by the trivial nature of the task. Orlando Mullen offers a better path, suggesting the collection of skull flowers. He promises 10 skill points for 200 of the rare blooms. The mage then suggests gathering 1,000 skull souls for another reward. Subai thanks the captain, appreciating the professional respect shown. Black Ryan remembers a final quest involving an anomaly in the suburbs. The hero accepts the task, knowing this is the city's main storyline. Most players ignore quests to grind levels, missing the best power boosts. The lord asks if the young man will honor him with a spar. Subai accepts the challenge, eyeing the substantial quest rewards. Black Ryan promises to lock his own levels and skills for fairness. Subai tells him to cap his power at level 30 specifically. He invites the captain of the guards to join the fight as well. Orlando Mullen warns that level 30 limits them to basic techniques. Subai signals for them to begin, as he has little time to waste. The spectators whisper about the duo's history of defeating elite bosses. Subai takes a defensive stance, waiting for the first strike. Black Ryan lunges forward with a powerful, crushing sword swing. Subai does not flinch, letting the blade pass harmlessly through air. He vanishes from sight, reappearing directly behind the city lord. He compliments the timing of the strike before landing a counter hit. The captain of the guard slams his staff, activating a stone spike spell. The ground erupts in jagged rock, pinning the space where Subai stood. Spectators gasp, wondering how the hero moves with such unnatural speed. Black Ryan declares that the hero will now face the full extent of his power. The Lord activates the Quagmire skill, a basic earth-based technique. He delivers a second strike, but the hero remains completely untouched. Subai dodges with ease as the shockwave whistles harmlessly past him. Black Ryan launches a flurry of rapid lunges and heavy jabs. The protagonist parries every incoming blow with precise, fluid movements. The Lord shouts in frustration and triggers his third strike skill. Subai reacts instantly, lunging forward to take the guard captain hostage. He presses the edge of his blade against the captain's throat. Black Ryan freezes, stunned by the young man's blistering speed. The captain sighs in defeat, having lost the duel in under 30 seconds. Subai releases his grip and encourages the Lord to continue his assault. The Lord wonders silently if such power could truly belong to a level 10. Black Ryan ignites his blade with the flaming sword skill. He lunges forward, but Subai teleports behind him in a blur. The hero activates a sword wave, forcing the Lord to drop his weapon. Subai rests his blade on the city lord's shoulder as a sign of victory. He tells the man that there is still much for him to learn. Black Ryan admits he had heard legends of the hero's unmatched level 10 power. He confesses that he had been deeply mistaken to doubt those ancient stories. The captain adds that even a level 50 opponent would have fallen today. Subai notes their impressive control over their own skills. He promises to return for another spar once his current missions conclude. Black Ryan bows, telling the hero he is always welcome at the residence. Subai ignores the polite farewell and trots toward the city gate. The Lord watches him go, calling the young man the bringer of dawn. The captain asks what the dawn after darkness actually signifies. The city of Rome is sprawling, requiring citizens to use teleportation gates. Subai decides to upgrade his skills before tackling his active quests. He selects the uppercut skill to launch enemies into the air for combos. He adds the stone spike skill to his repertoire for crowd control. His equipment includes the Cloak of All That Is and Fire Dragon gloves. He dons the Crusader's armor of purple gold to boost his defensive stats. His skills level up 10 times, while his passive mastery hits the cap. He feels confident that this combination of gear and skills is unbreakable. He approaches the gate, asking the guards for passage to the lands of the fallen. The guard demands 80 copper coins for the one-way transit. Subai pays the fee, noting that a monthly pass would have been cheaper. He experiences a wave of motion sickness as the teleportation magic activates. He arrives at the destination, the air turning biting and cold. His heavy sword hangs over his shoulder, the only item he kept after selling his gear. Skeleton warriors emerge from the shadows, their eyes glowing with faint light. The system labels these monsters as common rank, level 21. Subai draws his weapon, eager to test his new ability set. He unleashes his magic, shattering the bones of the nearest skeletons. Experience points cascade into his interface with every destroyed enemy. He finds the efficiency of his new farming method deeply satisfying. The system chimes as he hits level 11, granting him 20 skill points. He recalls that in his past life, 10 points per level was considered God tier. This double point gain suggests that his dual class is truly superior. Each new level now provides 50 points to his core statistics. He realizes that even an SSS class player cannot match his current growth. A massive silhouette rises behind the remaining skeleton warriors. A fire skull monster appears, a level 48 mini-boss. Subai smiles, knowing that stronger foes yield better rewards. He destroys the last of the common mobs to clear his path. The fire skull monster steps forward, roaring a challenge to the challenger. Subai notes that his infinite mana pool makes this fight trivial. The mini-boss begins a sacrifice ritual, absorbing the nearby bone piles. The hero realizes that the creature grows stronger with every consumed skeleton. He strikes, his magic circle pulsing with intense, concentrated light. He warns the boss that this struggle is merely a warm-up exercise. His skills require no cooldown, allowing him to spam attacks without pause. A crushing blow lands, causing the monster's skull to erupt in flames. Subai mocks the creature for slacking off instead of leveling up earlier. The system announces that the player has reached level 12. He collects 2 rare skull flowers required for his active quest. He finds a flaming skull sword and a summon undead skill book. He learns the new skill, which allows him to summon 3 skeleton minions. He tests the spell, calling forth 3 creatures to serve as his shield. These skeletons possess stats equivalent to a level 40 mob. He orders the trio to gather the remaining skullflowers in the swamp. A new map, the Swamp of Doom, unlocks on his navigation screen. He spots more monsters and labels them as potential future pets. The skeletons attack, their movements efficient and perfectly obedient. A spike skeleton unit appears, showing off its durable, armored frame. The system reports that the Summon Undead skill has reached level 2. Subai investigates the source of the sudden skill progression. He discovers a massive, mutated monster standing near an altar. He wonders how many sacrifices were required to conjure such a beast. He initiates combat, weaving his magic circle into a complex pattern. The monster proves remarkably sturdy, shrugging off his initial attacks. Persistence pays off as the creature finally sustains a deep bleeding wound. It lets out a piercing scream, its health bar dropping rapidly. Subai lands a final, powerful strike that obliterates the monster. He heads back toward the western district of Rome to sell his loot. Passers-by stare at the young man dragging a sack full of monster parts. He trades the junk for gold, though he feels the profit is meager. He searches for a high-level blacksmith to upgrade his gear further. A group of players blocks his path, sneering at his presence. One of them accuses him of losing his SSS job change crystal. Subai realizes that his current outfit is failing to hide his identity. He turns to leave, but the crowd follows him toward the city limits. They point and shout, calling him the legendary super rookie of the zone. He insists he is merely a humble man named Su, not the hero they seek. Jin Pengtian, a level 49 player, steps forward with a cold glare. He demands an explanation regarding the lost SSS crystal. Subai tells the gathering to get a grip on their own business. He asks why he should answer to them for his own lost property. The players argue that all loot from the newbie zone belongs to the nation. Subai prepares his stance, realizing the crowd is looking for a fight. He sighs, noting that he is far too short on time for these games. He summons his skeleton minions to stand between him and the mob. The players recoil as the undead warriors brandish their rusted blades. Subai walks through the center of the group, ignoring their threats. A player attempts to cast a restraint spell, but it shatters against his armor. The hero continues his stride, his shadow stretching long across the road. He knows that power is the only language these people truly understand. He reaches the city gate and steps out into the open wilderness. The crowd hesitates, unwilling to follow him into the dangerous monster zones. Subai vanishes into the forest, his mind focused on his next quest. The path ahead leads to the ruins, where the real challenge awaits him. He checks his stats, confirming that his level is climbing steadily. The system alerts him to a nearby elite spawn point. He redirects his skeletons to scout the area for hidden traps. The swamp grows dark as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. He lights a torch, the flame casting flickering shadows on the trees. He knows the dawn is coming, and he intends to reach it first. The squad commander signals for the first wave to advance. 3 groups of players surround Subai in a tactical circle. The first squad charges forward with weapons raised. The second squad flanks from the left to cut off his escape. The third squad keeps their eyes fixed on his health bar. Subai observes the gathering mob with a calm expression. He decides that now is the perfect time to stretch his legs. The young man wonders if this force truly believes they can defeat him. He lunges forward and strikes the first group with blinding speed. The attackers crumble to the ground in a single, fluid motion. One player stares in disbelief at the speed of the assault. He notes that Subai downed a level 30 player with one blow. The cast animation for his skills is completely invisible to the eye. The commander bellows for the shield bearers to form a defensive line. Subai ignores the command and continues his relentless offensive. The heavy shields shatter under the force of his strikes. Spectators watching from the sidelines gasp at the display of power. They whisper to each other that this is no longer a mere player. He fights with the terrifying efficiency of a high-level raid boss. The commander loses his composure and screams for an aggressive attack. The ranged warriors fire their spells at the young man. Subai activates his stonewall skill to absorb the incoming barrage. He mocks the players for fighting with the coordination of children. The commander shouts that the protagonist is clearly cheating. He orders his surviving men to abandon the fight and retreat. Subai sprints through the chaos to intercept the leader. He stops directly in front of the fleeing man. The hero rests his blade against the commander's shoulder. He demands to know who sent the group to hunt him. The terrified commander admits that he acted on his own initiative. He drops to his knees and begs for mercy. The man fears that confessing his failure will destroy his entire family. He realizes that his life is forfeit regardless of his answer. The villain pulls a hidden dagger and lunges at Subai. The protagonist swings his sword in a single, clean arc. The attacker falls, his challenge ending in an instant. Subai sheathes his weapon and turns away from the battlefield. He knows the truth will eventually come to light on its own. A voice calls out from the edge of the clearing. Ling Yuchan approaches with a look of visible alarm on her face. Behind her, two servants drag the bound form of Zhang Fei. Yuchan offers a formal apology for the betrayal. She states that she is ready to accept any punishment for her subordinate's actions. Subai asks why the man was so desperate to destroy him. Zhang Fei struggles against his bonds and glares at the hero. He demands to know why this outsider deserves the mistress's favor. Subai ignores the outburst and gestures toward the captive. He tells Ling Yuchan that she holds the authority to decide his fate. The girl promises to punish the traitor according to clan law. She bows low to apologize for the disruption of his plans. The mages surrounding her quickly remove the prisoner from sight. Subai watches the scene with a detached, analytical gaze. He notes that the girl resolves her problems in an extremely radical way. The portal to the 11th floor of the tower shimmers into existence. Subai informs the group that they are ready to form a party. He anticipates that the next layer holds creatures infected by alien gods. Yuchan introduces her team of 3 wind mages and 1 fire mage. Each member is level 20 and holds a B-rank designation. Subai commands them to display their abilities for his inspection. The mages unleash a dazzling display of elemental magic. The hero nods, noting that he expects absolute obedience to his orders. He warns them that any violation will result in swift punishment. Yuchan confirms that these are the finest fighters in her guild. The nearby players watch with envy, realizing the Lin Guild is serious. The group prepares to enter the 11th floor as a unified team. Yuchan glances at the mass of monsters and suggests recruiting more allies. Subai shakes his head and explains the mechanics of the floor. He notes that the number of mobs scales directly with the party size. He mentions that he could have cleared this faster alone. Their goal is to set a record, not to cause an unnecessary scene. The countdown timer for the entry phase reaches 0. The squad moves as one into the heart of the dungeon. Subai orders his team to hold the line and never retreat. A level 13 wolf devourer lunges from the shadows. The commander moves to intercept the first wave of incoming beasts. Subai strikes with precision, accumulating points with every kill. Yuchan watches him, surprised by the lack of skill cooldowns. She thinks that no mage she has ever seen fights with such intensity. The monsters are wiped out before they can mount a counterattack. Subai sighs, noting that the battle lacked any real artistry. The mages are ecstatic at the ease of their progress. They realize they have successfully latched onto a powerful ally. Subai commands the group to move forward without delay. The squad scales a cliff to survey the scale of the upcoming fight. Every player takes their assigned position in the formation. Lin Yuchan unleashes her unique skills to cover the flank. She proves that she is far more than an ordinary guild member. The squad pivots into a circular defensive stance. Subai orders Yuchan to summon her Ifrit. The girl activates her ability, and a fire monster manifests. Subai tells the team to focus and ignore all distractions. He prepares to face the next wave of monsters head-on. The level 14 creatures pose little threat to their current formation. The battle proceeds with the precision of a clockwork mechanism. The summoned Ifrit incinerates everything in its path. Subai observes that the pet accumulates energy with every kill. The creature shares this stored energy with the rest of the party. Ifrit multiplies into 8 copies to control the battlefield. Yuchan warns that the split form lasts only 10 minutes. She notes that the skill cooldown takes half an hour. She asks for instructions once the fire entities fade away. Subai assures her that the Ifrit will not disappear. The pet suddenly loses its flame and crumbles into a stone statue. Yuchan gasps, fearing the loss of their primary defense. Subai tells the squad to remain calm and hold their ground. He steps forward and activates his unique magical abilities. He draws upon an endless source of mana to fuel his next strike. Yuchan watches in shock as he invokes a summoning of the dead. Subai combines the Ifrit's lingering energy with his own attack. The resulting blast of power obliterates the surrounding monsters. The mages realize they are fortunate to be protected by an SSS rank player. Lin Yuchan notes that less than 2 hours have passed since they arrived. She realizes they are truly on track to break the record. Inside the Wang Guild's council hall, the leader paces in a rage. He screams at his subordinates for failing to stop a single newbie. He notes that the Lin clan is actively opposing their interests. A girl suggests that the union of the Li and Wang clans will suffice. She claims this scandal might actually serve their long-term goals. The leader asks for her strategy to salvage the situation. She points out that Yu Chan is the official heiress of the Lin clan. They plan to spread rumors that Subai lost the SSS crystal to her. The leader smiles, declaring the plan brilliant and timely. He orders Li Weijian to execute the plan immediately. On the 11th floor, the party enters the vast data snow plains. Subai points toward a distant cave where the floor boss resides. The snow monsters here utilize potent wind magic to attack. A mage warns the lady that they are facing a tornado spell. Yuchan nods, noting that their progress is already at 90%. Subai tells the party to stay alert as they approach the end. Chaos erupts at the entrance to the cave. The players look on in confusion at the shifting terrain. Lin Yuchan asks the commander for instructions on how to proceed. Subai says that the Ifrit will accompany him into the cave. He orders the rest of the party to wait at the entrance. He prepares to handle the final stretch of the dungeon alone. Yuchan expresses concern, but the hero remains resolute. The mages hesitate to let him face the boss by himself. Yuchan reminds them that he has never lost a battle. Subai activates his fiery wings and surges toward the darkness. He utilizes the Battle Fist skill to prepare for close combat. The flame burst effect of his gloves triggers on contact. He tests his fist-fighting style against the encroaching minions. The flame damage appears as a searing, magical force. The mages are stunned to see a mage excelling at melee combat. Subai notes that combining magic and martial arts provides double the power. He determines that fighting the minions is wasting too much time. He summons his skeleton army to hold the cave entrance. The system announces that his Summon Undead skill has reached level 6. The hero enjoys the sensation of commanding his own legion. The mages whisper to Yuchan that this is an epic raid. Subai moves forward with a direct, uncompromising approach. A massive, level 18 snow bear blocks the path ahead. Subai stands ready as the massive bear charges forward. The protagonist activates his combat fist, glowing with a crimson heat. He dodges the heavy swipe of the beast with a sharp sidestep. The young man mocks the monster, calling out that he is ready for some fun. The bear moves with a lumbering gait, lacking any true agility. Subai lunges in, landing a flurry of blows across the creature's hide. He notes the boss possesses immense brute strength but lacks coordination. The hero realizes he must end the fight quickly to conserve his stamina. The bear lunges again, teeth bared in a desperate, wild fury. Subai triggers his charge ram skill, his body turning into a blur of motion. He connects with a devastating fire fist, engulfing the monster in flames. The boss roars in pain as its health bar drops to a critical level. The creature collapses to the ground, its massive body falling still. Subai announces to his squad that the boss is officially defeated. The mages watch in disbelief, struggling to process the speed of the victory. They wonder how the squad leader could dismantle such a threat so effortlessly. The system notification chimes, declaring the 11th floor successfully cleared. Lin Yuchan nods, confirming that their progress remains ahead of schedule. News spreads rapidly that the Lin Guild squad set a record for the 11th floor. Citizens in the city of Rome debate how a classless player achieved such a feat. Some skeptics argue that Lin Yuchan carried the team with her S-rank fire magic. Others point out that even elite Holy Light classes struggle on this floor. Veteran player Li Junshe famously failed to clear this level in under 20 hours. At the Yang Country Military Headquarters, Captain Su Kang reviews the latest intelligence. He demands his subordinates locate the man behind these impossible records. Nantian reports that Subai was last seen near the outskirts of Rome. The scout notes that the mysterious hero single-handedly wiped out a level 30 squad. Nantian suggests that Subai possesses at least SS-level potential based on his performance. Captain Su Kang stares at the map, wondering about the hero's true class. He suspects the man might be utilizing a rare, powerful artifact. An assistant bursts into the room, gasping with news that defies belief. Sukang reads the report, his eyes widening at the data before him. The squad led by Subai just cleared the 12th floor in 3 hours. The Abyss of Shadows presents a new challenge with the boss Neri. Subai turns to his team, asking if they have the strength to continue. Lin Yuchan stands tall, assuring him that she and the mages are ready. The hero leads the way toward the stairs for the 13th floor. Yuchan watches him, convinced he is a talent even among the SSS rank elite. Inside the guild hall, the leader paces, cursing the arrival of this monster. Rival clans scramble to recruit the rookie, seeing the value in his power. Wang Zizi questions Lin Yuchan's motives, suspecting a deeper, hidden plan. Liu Ajin dismisses their childhood engagement as nothing more than a joke. Tensions flare as the girls bicker, ignoring the gravity of the situation. The group enters the 13th floor, known as the Plain of Filth. Slashing rabbits swarm the area, their movements erratic and fast. Subai notices the sheer number of monsters is slowing their pace. He orders each mage to focus on specific burrow exits to trap the beasts. The hero unleashes a massive fireball, forcing the rabbits out of their holes. They scramble toward the exits, only to find themselves blocked by the party. Subai promises to burn their lairs to save time for the climb. Lin Yuchan questions how he maintains such high energy after 3 floors. The squad reaches a grand, locked estate at the heart of the floor. Subai warns them that the boss, Winslate, waits inside the gates. He kicks the heavy door open, challenging the monster to face him. Winslate stands in the courtyard, surrounded by vicious, snarling monster hounds. The beast mocks the hero for daring to enter his personal domain. Subai activates a defensive barrier just as the hounds pounce. The dogs crash against the shield, taking damage from the magical recoil. Winslate begins an unbearable sonic attack, forcing the mages to cover their ears. Subai draws his blade, ignoring the screeching noise echoing through the hall. He charges the monster, calling the creature a useless old dog. The hero delivers a precise strike, cutting through the monster's defenses. Winslate screams in outrage, unable to believe his sound attack failed. Subai finishes the monster with a final, decisive sword swing. He cleans his blade, remarking that the fight was merely a warm-up. The team collapses in relief, finally earning a few hours to rest. That evening, they sit by a fire while Yuchan hands the hero food. She admits she is exhausted, yet energized by the rapid leveling. Subai checks his status, testing if the Clock of All Things can upgrade skills. The system confirms the upgrade is possible, but requires 30 days. He spends 10,000 gold coins to complete the process instantly. A notification announces the acquisition of a rank B sliding ice spear. He understands that A-rank skills require sacrifice and significant resources. Subai eats a simple ration, craving a real meal after days in the dungeon. The mages watch him, awed by his relentless work ethic and focus. They finish their rest and stand, signaling they are ready to move again. Subai leads them to the 14th floor, the labyrinth of stone giants. A fire beetle scuttles across the path, followed by a vine devourer. Yuchan checks the map, worried they are moving in circles. Subai assures her that his path is direct and calculated. A massive level 29 double magic golem blocks the corridor. The hero grins, eager to test the strength of the monster's stone bones. He leaps into the air, swinging his mace with the charge ram skill. The golem raises its arms, bracing for the impact of the blow. Subai strikes the monster's head, then teleports behind it to avoid a counter. He swings his mace again, smashing a hole through the stone wall. A blinding stream of light pours through the gap, signaling a break in the floor. Yuchan watches the light, realizing the hero's combat potential is limitless. Subai steps through the wreckage, already scouting the next challenge. Subai swings his heavy mace into the golem's remaining stone head. The hero announces that he intends to test a new combat skill. With a final, crushing impact, the left side of the golem crumbles. The remaining stone skull radiates a pulsing, dark, negative energy. Subai delivers one last strike, reducing the construct to tiny fragments. He lands gracefully on the ground and declares the monster finished. Yuchan shouts a warning for the hero to remain on his guard. She fears the scattered stone fragments might reassemble into the boss. The protagonist shakes his head, claiming such a thing is impossible. He seals the larger stone pieces in place with a wave of ice magic. The mages watch in stunned silence, never having witnessed such a fighting style. Subai freezes the remaining debris instantly to prevent any potential recovery. The system chimes, congratulating the party on clearing the 14th floor. Player Subai leads the Ling Guild squad to a new record. Lin Yuchan smiles, clearly impressed by the magnificent display of power. The hero tells the team not to fall behind during the climb. Only one floor remains before they reach the city of Rome. Subai's name is still missing from the official class rankings. Local townspeople whisper about his impossible pace of record-breaking. Wang Zixi arrives at the central square surrounded by his men. He stares at the leaderboard, questioning if Subai is even human. The system notification confirms that Subai has cleared the 15th floor. Wang Zixi scoffs, muttering that this level of speed is over the top. The party reaches the 15th level of the Tower of the Gods. Subai bids the squad farewell, promising they will see each other again. The surrounding monsters lie defeated and scattered across the floor. Yuchan asks the hero not to rush away from them just yet. She explains that the Ling clan has gained immense value today. The girl mentions that she needs to discuss compensation with her father. Subai raises an eyebrow, curious about what she intends to offer. She promises him a generous reward, including a large sum of gold. The young man agrees, noting he is open to further work. He offers a 20% discount to any regular repeat customers. Yuchan finds the discount incredibly tempting and starts to plan. She asks to reserve the first 30 floors of the tower for her clan. Subai feels a momentary twinge of regret for his generous offer. He knows that promises must be kept, regardless of the cost. Yuchan resolves to pawn her own property to secure these records. She believes the rise of her clan is now only a matter of time. Subai adds a single, firm condition to their new arrangement. He states that he wants to work with Yuchan alone from now on. The girl looks startled, wondering if his tone was too blunt. The hero clarifies that he only wants her in his party. He explains that he no longer has patience for dead weight. Yuchan nods, agreeing that she will rely entirely on his leadership. She recalls how she and her team slowed him down on previous floors. Subai sets their next meeting for 3 days from now. The hero wanders the streets of Rome, searching for available quests. He approaches a large information board to scan the posted tasks. Subai selects the most optimal quest to maximize his efficiency. He believes in taking every opportunity that remains available to him. A guard stops him, asking for his intended destination. Subai mentions the Western Mine and declines an escort. He arrives at the site and spots the teleportation point. The young man closes his eyes to avoid the blinding magical glow. A notification pops up, showing a friend request from Pei-Ling Shu. Subai glances at the name and feels a flicker of annoyance. He rejects the request and steps into the portal for the mine. Pei-Ling Shu stands in her residence, shocked by the abrupt dismissal. This is the 27th time Subai has ignored her advances. She never expected to be treated with such complete indifference. A follow-up notification informs her that she has been blacklisted. The girl's face turns bright red with pure, unadulterated fury. She swears that she will catch the elusive player in Rome. Inside the Western Mine, Subai faces a level 38 skeleton swordsman. He completes the quest to hunt the leader of the Dark Swordsmen. The hero remarks that the battle was an easy victory. He activates an undead summoning spell to farm experience for him. Subai decides his next destination will be the snowy plains of Guaratin. He knows that most players are currently rushing toward higher levels. The sensation of commanding his own personal army is addictive. Bitter frost bites at his skin as he enters the snowy zone. The hero shivers, feeling the harsh side effects of the environment. He quickly gathers wood and starts a fire to warm his limbs. The system warns that the icy wind has reduced his speed. Subai realizes he must finish his business here very quickly. A fluffy, level 28 snow monster emerges from behind a hill. The hero finds the creature's appearance to be surprisingly cute. He sends an undead servant to engage the small, white monster. The snowman's harmless look does not sway his cold, tactical focus. More snow monsters appear, surrounding the hero in the clearing. Subai activates a fireball spell to support his undead minion. He notes that the spell damage remains weak despite the recent upgrade. If the magic continues to underperform, he will focus on standard quests. The hero fires an ice arrow, forcing the snowmen to retreat. His double chant technique finally shows signs of consistent success. He decides he will attempt to cast 3 spells simultaneously next time. A loud explosion rings out, followed by a blinding white flash. Subai shields his eyes, wondering what caused the sudden disturbance. The smoke clears, revealing that his undead and the snowmen are gone. He looks up and identifies the source as a malevolent soul aura. This is an experimental testing ground hidden within the snowy wastes. The location mirrors the dangerous conditions of the swamps of doom. Because no one ever finishes this quest, malice and spirits accumulate here. Subai decides to retreat, admitting he lacks the necessary light skills. Nearby players watch in horror as the black fog rolls forward. They flee the area, fearing the darkness will consume their souls. 3 days pass within the quiet halls of the Lin trading chamber. The hero stands before a large table covered in sealed boxes. He opens them one by one, expecting to find only worthless junk. The door creaks open and Lin Yuchan peeks inside the room. She says the Lin clan is happy to take all his leftovers. Subai tells her she is welcome to whatever she wants. Yuchan places the gold payment and a deposit on the table. Subai notes that the clan has nerves of steel for the investment. Their treasury must be nearly empty after such a large deposit. He confirms he has received the funds and is ready to move. The hero tells the girl to rest before they return to the tower. He hopes the next drop will finally provide a decent item. He specifically craves light-based skills to bolster his combat repertoire. The system chimes, gifting him a Shield of Holy Light book. He also receives an icy spike and a sacred anti-demon sphere. Subai wishes he had these tools 3 days ago in the snow. He reflects that he never allowed himself such a build before. The door swings open and the hero activates his fire fists. A woman enters, and she comments on his impressive, sharp reflexes. Lin Wu stares at the young man, noting he is handsome in person. She wonders if he recognizes her from her public reputation. Subai notices she is wearing the legendary Dragon Wave Assassin set. He assumes she is a master swordsman based on her gear. Lin Shui assumes he has recognized her elite status after all. Yuchan enters the room and introduces the visitor to the hero. She explains that this is Pei Lin Wei from the elite squad. The girl was ranked among the top 100 players last season. Lin Jie watches them, surprised by the hero's unnatural level of calm. Subai asks the guest why she is looking for him today. The girl feels insulted because he shows no reaction to her beauty. Lin Ji decides to skip the pleasantries and get to business. She invites the young man to join the National 11th Elite Team. Yuchan thinks to herself that this team is full of second-tier pros. Though world-class, the 11th squad is considered an underdog by many. Subai thanks her for the honor, but politely declines the offer. Lin Jai is stunned, unable to believe he would turn her down. She warns him that elite groups provide the only path to power. Subai simply smiles, knowing his own path is far superior. Subai stands firm, his gaze meeting the expectant look of the elite team leader. He politely declines the offer, stating he has no interest in joining their squad. Lin Shu leans forward, warning that the higher levels of the tower demand group coordination. The protagonist shakes his head, noting that the first 15 floors presented no challenge to him alone. Lin Jie watches him closely, her expression shifting from irritation to calculated curiosity. She proposes a compromise, asking if he would consider a freelance expert status. Subai nods, explaining that he works for payment, much like his current arrangement with the Lin clan. Lin Shui agrees to the terms, confirming that the elite squad will provide full logistical support. She pulls a contract from her bag, hoping to bind the talented young man to her organization. Subai scans the document, noting that they appear desperate to secure his services. He sets a single condition, requesting a skilled blacksmith and help gathering rare materials. Lin Jie waves a hand, assuring him that the squad will cover every expense. The young man signs the paper, signaling the start of their official partnership. He promises to email a list of required equipment later that evening. Lin Shui smiles, satisfied that she has successfully recruited a rising star. As the hero turns to leave, he mentions his plan to farm the next floor with Yuchan. Lin Jie asks if he intends to break the record on the 16th level. Subai shrugs, inviting her to watch if she wishes to learn his methods. The scene shifts to the 16th floor of the Tower of the Gods. Heat ripples through the air as they stand upon a landscape of fiery, jagged rocks. Subai commands his party to stay close, his eyes scanning the horizon for movement. Lin Shui follows them, eager to witness the combat style of the season's top champion. Large, armored arthropods crawl from the fissures in the burning ground. The creatures surge forward, their claws clicking against the scorched stone. Subai moves with fluid precision, his spells erupting in a coordinated barrage. The monsters shatter under the assault, their chitinous shells cracking into dust. Lin Shu stares at the damage output, stunned by the efficiency of a level 20 player. The hero activates his chaotic firestorm, bathing the battlefield in swirling embers. Subai examines the remains of the foes, noting the smell of victory hanging in the air. Yu-chan laughs, agreeing that the scent of battle is surprisingly pleasant. 2 hours later, the group rests by a crackling campfire. They roast slabs of monster meat, the savory aroma filling the rocky canyon. Subai takes a bite, admitting that the high-level ingredients are remarkably delicious. A system notification pulses in the air, announcing a new record for the 16th floor. Lin Xia contacts the guild leader, urging him to see the reports immediately. She tells him that Subai is a rare treasure, not just a standard player. While the duo continues their ascent, rumors of their exploits sweep through the city. Chat rooms flood with daily updates on their progress, calling them true monsters. The Ling Guild headquarters teems with new recruits eager to join their ranks. The elder instructs the manager to accept everyone, fearing they might lose the momentum. The hero arrives at the residence of Lord Rim to accept a new challenge. Blackrian stands near the gate, asking if the young man truly understands the risks. The Lord explains that the hero brought this trouble upon himself and must face the consequences. Subai replies that a war will inevitably threaten every resident in the city. He decides to clear this final city-bound quest before moving to higher floors. The Lord informs him that he must defeat Thomas Pete, the vice-captain of the guard. Thomas Pete is a level 80 summoner, a formidable gatekeeper for the final trial. Subai accepts the challenge, his face calm despite the massive level gap. He knows the difficulty is scaled higher than in his previous life, but he remains confident. Yu-chan watches from the sidelines, excited to see a battle between such powerful figures. They meet at the training grounds, the air thick with tension. Thomas Pete looks down at the hero, scoffing at the audacity of a low-level challenger. The vice-captain dons a glowing amulet and begins his summoning ritual. An ice dragon, an undead creature, and a shadow bear spirit materialize in the arena. Yu-chan gasps, noting the lightning-fast speed of the summoner's technique. Subai initiates his firestorm, a move that draws a smirk from his opponent. The vice-captain notes the spell's long cast time and limited reach. He prepares to counter, but suddenly finds his boots bound by thick, thorny vines. Thomas Pete shouts in disbelief as his movement is restricted by the earth magic. Lord Rima watches, realizing the hero is utilizing a rare, double elemental reading. The vice-captain summons the ice dragon, attempting to freeze the ground beneath them. Subai dodges the frost breath, leaping high into the air with grace. He executes a piercing strike, sending the skeleton pet flying toward the arena wall. The vice-captain struggles against the barbed tentacles, finally raising a hand in defeat. Subai thanks his opponent for the intense match, bowing slightly. Thomas Pete returns the gesture, grateful that the hero showed mercy during the fight. Yu-chan rushes forward, calling the spectacle the most impressive duel she has ever seen. Valkyrian encourages the vice-captain, telling him there is no shame in losing to such a talent. Orlando Mullen, the captain of the guards, approaches the hero with a request. He asks if Subai would be willing to teach him the secret of dual elemental reading. A special quest notification appears, offering the title of Orlando's teacher as a reward. Subai agrees, inviting Yu-chan to join the training sessions. The city lord steps forward, satisfied that the hero has passed the final test. He warns that the upcoming event will be a massive danger to all citizens. Blackrian sets the timeline, announcing the invasion will begin in 24 hours. Subai refuses the offer to unite the city's players for a joint defense. The Lord looks confused, asking if the hero really intends to hold the South Gate alone. Subai confirms his plan, relying on his own specific strategy to win. The Lord sighs, promising to hold off the other sectors until reinforcements arrive. A side quest window appears, titled Rome's Last Revolt. The reward is 100 skill points, a significant boost for any player. Subai notices the reward is twice as generous as the version in his past life. Citizens gather in the main square, whispering about the looming beast invasion. Players debate whether they have the required level to join the defense. Subai walks through the crowd, already planning his path toward the 30th floor. Yu-chan asks why high-level players are not stationed at the front lines. The hero explains that the beast levels scale based on the defender's own strength. He points out that level 200 monsters would crush the city if top players were present. By keeping his level low, he ensures the invading forces remain manageable. Yu-chan asks if she can join him at the south gate. Su-bai sets a condition, demanding she master no cast and double chant skills within one day. The girl frowns, realizing the sheer difficulty of such an accelerated training pace. Linji observes from a distance, remarking that the hero is a true stormmaker. Palin C offers her help, but Su-bai politely declines her assistance. He explains the essence of his technique, which requires compressing spells into thoughts. He tells the girl that formulas and incantations only serve to slow the mind down. The hero encourages her to practice, hoping she can eventually train the captain of the guards. Yu-chan nods, her eyes fixed on the hero as she begins her intense study. The morning sun rises over the bustling tavern in Rome. Patrons whisper among themselves, questioning the identity of the mysterious Wu-kai. They wonder if the elusive Su-bai finally recruited an ally. A guard points to a screen, noting that Su-bai often posts tutorial videos. The players remain baffled by the hero's decision to hold the south gate alone. Wu-kai stands on the southern wall, holding a streaming device toward the crowd. The streamer greets his massive digital audience with a confident grin. He announces that today, the southern sector defense is led by the legendary rookie Su-bai. Suddenly, the video feed flickers and vanishes into static. Panic ripples through the viewers as they imagine the worst. They fear the beast wave has already breached the walls. At the southern gate, Su-bai tightens his grip on his staff. He tells his companions that it is time to begin the work. Lin Yu-chan alerts the group, pointing toward the approaching shadows. A level 26 skeleton lizard lunges from the darkness, leading the charge. Su-bai raises his hand, activating the chaotic firestorm skill. Flames erupt from the ground, consuming the front line of the horde. Wu-kai reappears on the broadcast, sheepishly apologizing for the technical failure. He claims he accidentally severed the cable during the chaotic opening. The viewers sigh in relief, though they remain glued to the intense spectacle. Lin Yu-chan steadies her breathing and focuses on her own mana. She summons a pack of fire pets to assist the frontline defense. Su-bai nods, acknowledging that her performance is not bad at all. He channels his energy, launching another wave of chaotic firestorm. Yu-chan praises the precision of his multi-elemental chanting technique. The hero explains that 9 streams is his current limit. The level 28 monsters shriek as the intense heat melts their armor. Su-bai slams his staff down, summoning a legion of undead warriors. The stream viewers watch in disbelief as a massive army rises. Wu-kai shouts into his microphone, declaring the sight absolutely impossible. He labels the hero a true god of war on the battlefield. Su-bai signals for a brief pause, needing to conserve his strength. He wipes sweat from his brow, preparing for the next stage of the wave. Yu-chan asks how long this relentless assault will truly last. The hero estimates it will last a day, though it could extend much longer. He is glad he leveled his skills just before the invasion began. 9 streams of fiery rain would have been insufficient against these tougher foes. Wu-kai informs his viewers that this ocean of fire holds the entire front line. He repeats that the hero is simply incredible to witness. Shen watches from afar, realizing she cannot afford to slack off now. She promises to give her all until the very last monster falls. Su-bai instructs the team to maintain pressure with the firestorm and Ifrit. The monsters approaching from the rear are significantly stronger than the first wave. During the break, Wu-kai urges the players to eat and recover their stamina. In the Zhou Dynasty Conference Hall, an aide reports a shortage of manpower. Too many players are flocking to the Ling Guild instead of their faction. The leader curses the hero, blaming Su-bai for every complication. Lord Zhou commands his men to contact the leaders of other major guilds. He decides they must share the burden and recruit more members immediately. In Rome Square, residents debate the wisdom of staying near the front lines. The Zhou dynasty broadcasts a message, claiming they are the only real defense. A nervous player announces he is joining the Zhou dynasty for safety. He refuses to risk his life alongside a self-assured psychopath like Su-bai. Many players abandon the Ling Guild, seeking the protection of the larger faction. In the conference room, assistants ask what happens if the wall holds. The leader scoffs, insisting a breakthrough is inevitable for the hero. He claims Su-bai is not an SSS rank player and will surely fail. On the fortress wall, Su-bai monitors the horizon with icy focus. Everything proceeds exactly according to his calculated plan. The undead army descends to the foot of the wall, engaging the beasts. Yuchan asks which stage of the wave they are currently facing. Subai replies that the event is taking much longer than anticipated. Yuchan gasps, wondering if the siege could really last 5 whole days. Wukai cries out in surprise, questioning if they can survive that long. The girl vows that even if the difficulty increases tenfold, she remains unafraid. The protagonist suddenly leaps from the wall into the midst of the monsters. Yuchan screams, fearing for his life since he is only level 40. Wukai stares in shock as the hero lands gracefully outside the gates. Subai draws his sword, engaging a pack of monster wolves in combat. Yuchan watches in awe, noticing he did not sustain a single injury. She wonders if he plans to establish combat circles to trap the enemies. She finds herself clinging to the streamer's back to get a better view. The viewers comment that Subai possesses an unreal level of strength. They marvel at his ability to place traps while fighting in melee. A player points out that the hero fights with the conditioning of a combat cultivator. He notes that even Li Junjie lacks that level of physical prowess. After finishing his preparations, Subai leaps back onto the fortress wall. Wukai flinches, startled by the hero's sudden and calm reappearance. Subai announces that all defensive traps are now fully operational. He tells the group they must rotate their shifts to maintain watch. Yuchan insists the commander should rest while she takes the first turn. The hero agrees, warning her to signal him at the slightest sign of danger. Lin Yuchan remarks that the commander's traps are incredibly effective. Wukai admits he is exhausted and needs a few hours of sleep. Yuchan watches the hero, thinking there is truly no limit to his power. 3 days pass in a blur of blood and relentless combat. Lin Yuchan reports that they can barely hold back the surging wave. The front line has shifted, and boss-level monsters now dominate the field. Wukai adds that they will never survive to the 5th day at this intensity. Subai sits nearby, calmly preparing a barbecue over a small flame. Viewers are amazed that he can eat while the city faces destruction. They criticize his behavior, calling him heartless and selfish. One player suggests it is all a show and something interesting is coming. Subai finishes his meal, declaring the food was quite tasty. He tells Yuchan to rest while he takes care of the rest. The girl is surprised, but Subai jumps down to face the bosses alone. The townspeople watch in disbelief as the mage charges into the fray. Wukai wonders if the captain is truly ready to fight an entire army. The protagonist swings his swords, dispatching nearby monsters with fluid grace. He moves with increasing speed, weaving through the thickest parts of the horde. A player declares that Subai is clearly both a mage and a warrior. In a remote location, a powerful elder watches the battle in real time. Li Chensheng, the world's top-ranked player, finds the spectacle fascinating. He repeats that the hero's performance is nothing short of magnificent. The elder asks his peers who else could command such a diverse legion. Li Chensheng laughs, admitting even he is not capable of that feat. The protagonist executes an uppercut followed by a swift, sticky step skill. He unleashes a series of sword arcs and a brilliant rainbow strike. Another boss monster falls, shredded by the precise sequence of attacks. The elder notes that every movement is accurate to the millimeter. He wonders who taught this player such perfect combat techniques. Pei Lingxue tells her grandfather that the hero has no teacher. The young people in the room are astonished by the revelation. They ask how it is possible to master such skills in total isolation. The elder is eager to meet this genius, born with innate knowledge. The system notification chimes, confirming the boss has been defeated. Subai declares that all bosses below the 100th floor are mere trash. He tells the undead they can act on their own now. The skeletons continue to operate with terrifying efficiency. Yuchan asks how the commander feels after the grueling struggle. Subai warns that a real shock army of the beast wave approaches. They must prepare themselves for the true test ahead. Yuchan pales, realizing the elite level 80 bosses were not the main force. Wukai asks in alarm what the main force must look like. In the elite squad meeting, they discuss if the hero can handle the next wave. The elder notes the incoming monsters are at least level 90 elites. An assistant reports that evacuation routes are now open for all citizens. Captain Zhou Wang of the 6th Squad prepares his men for the end. The inner city gates stand firm against the encroaching tide. Su Kang surveys the assembled players with a focused gaze. He questions if any guild in Rome can truly withstand this magnitude of destruction. Zhou Wang stands tall and gestures toward the reinforcements. He explains that his talented son already transferred several second squad players to the front. Sukai narrows his eyes and doubts the presence of other professionals of that caliber. Zhou Wang reveals that he personally committed his entire 6th squad to the defense. The elder observes the move and suspects Zhou Wang plays along to bolster his son's reputation. He notes the man pulls his best men away from the 100th floor assault. Lin Shui watches the stream and remarks that the situation has spiraled out of control. She vows to report the blatant favoritism as soon as Subai concludes his defense. The 4th day arrives with relentless carnage on the battlefield. Subai leads his 10 golden skeletons into the heart of the beast wave. They systematically dismantle 10 elite-level 83 bosses. Yu-chan ceases her spellcasting and focuses on directing the skeletal strikes. The tide of monsters shows no sign of slowing down despite the losses. By the 5th day, Subai has claimed the lives of 20 elite bosses. The front line of the horde creeps steadily toward the fortress walls. The 7th day dawns with a heavy silence hanging over the field. Subai clears the final cluster of monsters surrounding him. The young man leaps back onto the top of the fortress wall. Yu-chan approaches him and asks if the beast wave has finally ceased. Wu-chai cheers loudly, celebrating the hero's success in holding the line. Subai stares into the horizon and warns that the true boss approaches. Yu-chan and Wu-chai see the elite boss, the Mad Weaver, looming in the distance. The monster towers over the landscape as a level 99 entity. The girl gasps and identifies it as the strongest lord boss in the entire region. Tension ripples through the elite squad's conference room as they watch the screens. The observers conclude that Subai cannot possibly survive this final encounter. Zhou Wang watches his son's rival and considers the implications of a victory. He realizes that even if Subai holds the line, his son will claim the glory. Wu-chai reports that the city officials are urging everyone to retreat. They claim the Zhou dynasty's second-tier players will handle the final boss. Subai calmly admits that he is no match for the beast in a direct brawl. He clarifies that he does not need to fight the monster himself to secure a win. A thunderous shout erupts from the high watchtower. The guards announce that the boss has reached the perimeter. A massive explosion echoes across the plains. A blinding shockwave ripples outward, shattering the earth in all directions. Subai explains that a single kamikaze silver cannon can destroy a peak first profession elite. He notes that a few dozen such cannons will overwhelm even a lord boss. The spectators watching the stream realize the beast wave is nearing its conclusion. The town's NPC guards finally join the fray to mop up the remnants. Subai monitors the chaotic battlefield from his vantage point. The leader of the resistance squad watches the systematic destruction of the monsters. Yutian stares at the scene, unable to believe the danger has passed. The protagonist turns to his group and tells them to prepare for a decisive battle. Yuxian and Wushai exchange confused looks, wondering what threat could be greater. Lord Rima and the captain of the guards arrive at the southern gate. The streamer shifts his camera to capture the arrival of these high-ranking figures. Lin Yuchan looks toward the newcomers and asks the commander for their identities. Subai identifies the man as Carmen of the Year, a supreme sorcerer of the second profession. He warns that this man is the true puppeteer behind the beast wave. Orlando Mullen steps forward and shouts for the hero to retreat immediately. He insists that the boy must not remain in the path of such a powerful entity. Subai declares that the performance has reached its finale and he will not leave his seat. Orlando Mullen explains that the Black Mage is a loyal follower of the Legion of Calamity. He notes that the mage is a force of chaos at the peak of his second profession. The captain of the guards adds that only he and the city lord can challenge such a foe. Subai asks if those two are truly capable of stopping the monster. Orlando Mullen sighs and admits there is no point in hiding the grim reality. The Black Mage laughs and mocks Lord Rima for not knowing his own limits. He boasts that he will devour the souls on this battlefield to reach the 3rd level. He promises that the entire city of Rome will fall to the great Lord of Calamity. Black Rim draws his weapon and declares he will prevent that outcome. The townspeople in Rome Square watch the stream in absolute terror. They panic, wondering why the situation escalated to such a degree. They scramble to reach the city exits, hoping to escape the coming doom. Orlando Mullen reminds the citizens that evacuation portals are already active. He urges the hero to take his party and flee the immediate area. Black Ryan engages the boss in a flurry of magical strikes. Orlando Mullen observes that the beast wave was merely a distraction. The boss intended to slaughter the monsters to harvest their souls for his own power. Yu-chan looks at the battle and suggests they should leave while they can. She notes that top-tier players of the Second Awakening are the only ones suited for this fight. Subai tells his companions that anyone who fears for their life is free to go. No one moves, choosing to stand firmly behind their commander. Subai orders the mage to support the Lord, as the man is clearly reaching his limit. Orlando Mullen signals the heroes to coordinate their attacks. In the Elite Squad's conference room, the observers remain glued to the screens. Li Gengxiang praises the strength of Carmen of the Year. He notes that Black and Orlando utilize more classic, refined techniques. Lin Wei scoffs, claiming she would wipe out all three of them if she were 30 levels higher. The elder tells her that if she is so confident, she should go join the fight herself. Carmen of the Year scans the battlefield, confused by the lack of lingering souls. He wonders where the energy he expected has vanished. Orlando calls out to Black, suggesting they pool their strength to bring down the boss. A mysterious figure steps onto the battlefield and offers to answer the mage's question. Subai observes the boss's signature move, a complex sacrificial circle. Carmen of the Year pales, wondering how he failed to notice the trap. The monster rages, asking if they truly dared to lure him into a snare. He realizes the trap consists of a multitude of smaller circles layered together. The monster curses his own dwindling magical power. Subai smiles and tells the crowd he will show them how to handle a youngster. He shouts that it is time to reveal the true capabilities of his aim set. Subai commands his level 10 monster to advance. Carmen of the Year screams in disbelief as the creature lunges forward. The boss panics and turns to flee, shouting that the situation is fundamentally wrong. Carmen of the Year cries out that he has been deceived by his opponents. Orlando and Black pursue the fleeing mage across the ruined field. Subai repeats that if he cannot intervene, his creation will do the work for him. The creature known as Aim Set has reached level 130. The protagonist notes that the monster has entered the second profession. He observes that the level is still slightly lower than he would prefer. He urges the monster forward, telling it not to fail him now. Carmen is struck by the massive, heavy fist of the creature. Orlando and Black watch the unfolding destruction with growing excitement. Carmen of the Year loses a significant portion of his total health. The monster winds up for another crushing, decisive blow. Carmen activates a shadow technique to mitigate the incoming damage. The boss struggles, unable to move as if paralyzed by an unseen force. He wonders why he cannot shift, as even a Lord boss needs time to recover. Subai watches the boss struggle and notes he has not warmed up his fists in ages. He decides this opponent is the perfect target for a bit of practice. The hero activates his fire fists and leaps high into the air. He prepares to strike in perfect sync with the monster aim set. The protagonist activates the step fist skill and lands a devastating blow. The elder watches and comments that if the mage has no other tricks, he is doomed. He predicts the summoned creatures will reduce the mage to dust within half an hour. Lin Zui asks the elder how many of those creatures he could defeat himself. Li Changxiang admits that 1 against 3 would be a difficult challenge. He clarifies that he would not be afraid of a one-on-one fight, however. The elder points to the enormous monster, questioning the limits of Subai's summoning. Lin Zhou asks if this boss is the weakest of the 4 in terms of raw level. The elder reminds the students to sharpen their observational skills before speaking. Li Changxiang explains that the monster is indeed the weakest when standing alone. He notes that under Subai's command, the other 3 are no match for this one. The old man points out the powerful layer of combat chi coating every strike. He notes that the flow of power from the master to the summon never falters. The Qi engulfs the black mage, making it impossible for him to dodge the assault. Lin Ye understands the secret behind the power of aim set. She tells the captain that they have truly stumbled upon a hidden treasure. On the southern outskirts, the battle rages with unrelenting intensity. Aim set lands blow after blow against the weakened mage. The monster shouts that he is activating the undead explosion. Orlando and Black recoil in terror at the mention of the forbidden technique. Carmen cries out that the monster soul is powerful enough to level half the city. The boss still does not understand why his plans have failed so spectacularly. Yu-chan turns to Subai and asks what the undead explosion actually entails. The young man replies that the technique requires the detonation of the remains themselves. He looks at the piles of bodies littering the battlefield. He notes that if the souls were still present, the explosion would have wiped out everything. Subai explains that the boss failed because he neglected to detonate the souls. Wukai asks if Aimset already absorbed all those spirits into himself. Carmen stares at his hands in disbelief as his final maneuvers crumble. The defeated mage mutters that his grand design should have been flawless. A bright blue system window flashes across the center of the battlefield. The interface announces that the defense of Rome is officially complete. Wukai cheers, shouting that they actually pulled off the impossible. Subai stands amidst the wreckage, his expression calm and unreadable. Yu-chan watches him, her eyes reflecting a new, unshakable respect. The system pings again with rewards for every participant in the defense. All survivors receive 2 full levels and 20 valuable skill points. Jubilation erupts in the streets of Rome as the citizens celebrate their survival. The city lord approaches, declaring that the young hero is truly incredible. Subai pauses as a dark, distorted voice echoes directly inside his head. It is Gusky Dan, the legendary Lord of Calamities, speaking from the shadows. The voice addresses Subai as the great offspring of the Demon King. A hidden quest notification appears. Child of the Demon King. Subai wonders if the others can hear the chilling command. He concludes that his unique Demon King class grants him this dark connection. The quest requires him to collect 10 million malevolent spirits. Subai sighs, noting that fanatics like Carmen are just the beginning. Lin Wei reaches out through a communication crystal to offer her congratulations. She promises that she and the entire elite squad will arrive shortly. The Elder is also coming, which leaves Subai genuinely surprised. Lai Changsung intends to meet him in person. Yu-chan asks if her own clan can secure a similar partnership. She offers 20,000 gold if her guild receives an official audience. Subai smiles, seeing fortune falling directly into his lap. Rumors spread like wildfire that the elite are gathering at the Ling Merchants Guild. The heiress announces that all former members may return without any fees. Subai watches the city mobilize with impressive, lightning-fast speed. Lin Shu waves from the distance as she spots the hero approaching the gate. Su Kang greets him in the office with a wide, welcoming grin. The captain shakes his hand, noting that his reputation precedes him. Subai surveys the room, spotting every major power player gathered in one place. Su Kang praises the young man for his rare strength and iron character. Subai bows slightly, asking which of these titans wants to speak first.